Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Hump Day. It is Wednesday, May 25th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Brina. You are number one today. Welcome. Hey, Ninja Bunny. You are number two. Ruthless, and you are number three. You guys are the top three today. Hey, Frankie, you're number four. In Love with Kimberly Michael, welcome. And Saturday Night Smoke, welcome, guys, welcome. And to anyone who may be listening over on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, welcome. And we're just going to wait for Chill Will. This is his show today. No problem, Ruthless. Mr. B, welcome. Beautiful woman, back to you, Miss Kimberly. And Kimberly, I have to say, I love your show last night. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Y'all need to check out Kimberly Michael both on Podbean on Sunday nights and on YouTube on Tuesday. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Welcome, Dina Joe. Welcome. Okay, so we are just waiting for our co-host. This is his part two. Alpha Mike, you made it. And let's see, who else is popping in here? Power Girl, welcome. Okay, and well, it was a good show. It was. I really had fun. Really did. And see, I am fine, Alpha. I am fine. Brina, you're so psyched for part two. Oh, well, Chill, he always gives us something different. He always delivers. And Grit, you're slacking today, Grit. Usually you're number one, but Brina beat you today. Okay, so while we're waiting for Chill, in fact, let me send him a message real quick just to let him know he is supposed to be here. All right. So tomorrow's show, since it's Thursday, and we're going to try to stay on topic, is tomorrow's show is hair or no hair. What is your preference? So, and I'm just going to leave it out there hanging, and you guys can figure out what I'm talking about. You can take it a lot of different ways. So, that's going to be our fun show tomorrow. Oh boy. And then again, with this group, we did get 2 hours out of toilet paper over our or under. Y'all are serious about your toilet paper. So let's see. It will be a fun topic. Okay, Will says he is on his way. He is on his way. So and let's see. Okay, all you all are just saying hi to each other. So greetings, everyone. Greetings. Let's see, and who's over here on YouTube? Yes, Grit, you are first over there. You're always first. You know, I'm trying to get that YouTube audience up. Oh boy. But I do have people watching on Twitter, so but yeah. Kimberly, I'm telling you, Y'all, I am not lying when I say you all need to check out her show. She is on Podbean. For me, I'm on the West Coast, California, so it's 8 o'clock my time on Sundays, and you were on a little earlier yesterday on YouTube. I think you were on at 6 o'clock my time, but you guys got to check out her show. Yeah, I just happened upon her, and I am a follower. Jill Will and Milk Dog Show talking about stalking women with different kids. Okay, well, he needs to get over there. Okay. Okay. He said that he was there, but I wasn't on, so I was late. Okay, here he is. Here he is. Chill Will. Chill. Okay. There he is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Nah, I got here at 4 o'clock. You wasn't here. Don't be cussing at me.
I was getting my tea. I'm sorry, I needed my tea.
Yeah, that's what I decided to get since I was like, ah, she ain't here yet. I was like, let me just run in here real quick and got me not tea, but I got Starbucks.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. It's still my fault because I'm the man.
Well, well, Brina said that she was waiting for part two, so here we
Really,
are.
where you at? Where? No, Juju said that too. It's just as this is the spirit of Juju and Brina because they wanted the part two of
Wow.
toxicity. And you know what? Hey, um, I guess there it's a thing, right? So, um, let's get into it. Whew, I'm just getting off work, y'all. Y'all gotta forgive me. I had to get it together, but we're here
Mhm.
now.
Mhm. Mhm.
How you doing over there? You all right over there?
You're talking to me, or you talking to somebody
Yeah, I'm
else?
talking to you. What?
I
What is going
I
on?
am fine.
We the only two people on the phone.
You could have been talking to somebody in Starbucks. I don't know, because after all, you are sweet, sweet Willie. Lord knows who you're talking to. But I am fine. Thank you for asking. Well, chill. It's your show, so
Gotcha. So, the thing. That's what you would call this. That's what you would call that. Toxic part two. We didn't. I guess we didn't get
okay. You're going
toxic
in and out.
mass week. Um, cool. I think I got it.
Yes, I think you've got it. Yes, I think you've got it.
Whenever I hop in my car and I'm on my headphones, it's conflicting. So you gotta forgive me if it pops over. Um, I'm not taking any calls right now. Cool. Got you. So yeah. So the subject, toxic masculinity. Obviously, the opposite you would think would be toxic femininity, but we never talk about that, right? And so in general, I want to talk about not only toxic femininity, but Solid brought up another realm of it, just toxicity in general in children and people. So that's always something we can explore, right? So initially, though, my question is to the panel and to somebody y'all didn't call up in here, and I need to hear some of y'all voices. It's good to see
Well, you got to get started
y'all
first. I
voices.
mean,
No, you gotta let them up here. Now, don't let them on up here. If they
Okay,
coming,
hold
let
on.
them
I
call them
am
on.
responding to some people on Facebook. Just a minute.
Mm. Dina laughing at
Okay.
us.
Okay. Brina's always laughing. Brina is always laughing. But
That's Dina Joe.
she's laughing at you. Oh, Dina's laughing. Uh-huh, Dina, see? But you're laughing at Chill. So okay, anybody
Ah,
wanna anybody wanna pop up? Pop on up. I'm gonna send some
yeah.
invites out to people who I think may want to pop up. Let's see, Rufus
JP
is
can
in
come
his
on up here.
car. So okay, so start. Come on, come on, come on,
But
come
at
on.
any rate, we're gonna talk about toxic feminine. Y'all women today. We know men can be a handful, but y'all women, boy, oh boy. Sometimes you got a pistol starter. I got a pistol starter up here with me right now. Pistol starters. They gonna shoot back, right? So when does that become especially in a relationship? When does that become a thing, or is that more prevalent in general? That's what I want to talk about. What does Solid Blue think right now? We're gonna start with you. That's you. Do you think toxic femininity is a thing, and is it more prevalent in relationships over toxic masculinity?
Okay, see, I just had this conversation with Miss Kimberly the other night, and
Mm,
I don't know. It depends. I think it depends upon the woman. I do believe that some women can be toxic, but I think men can kind of put the little pill in the water to make us a little toxic. So I
the
think it
best sex.
I think it depends upon the woman. Sometimes she can use her feminine wiles, and other times men they try to be, Mac Daddy cool and what have you. So I think it depends upon the woman.
Black Daddy Cool. We need to put that on a shirt. I ain't heard that in a long time, by the way.
Well, I am
That's
old
it.
school, so Mac
Nah,
Daddy
nah, it's
cool.
all right. That's all right. That's all right. I like it. So yeah, what, Mister Be Great? What you say?
I would say that as a society, they are trying to blend women and men as this was the same thing, and I think we should celebrate the difference instead
So
of trying to act like everybody should be the same.
okay, so you think that society is m- merging toxic femininity and masculinity in one, or
Yes, yes is
kind
one. I don't like when someone says, "Well, a man walking by and says, oh, he's showing his feminine side," and vice
is what
versa.
side? What'd you call it?
Feminine side. Sometimes
Oh,
like,
okay, gotcha.
and I just
Oh,
think they're trying to blend in together. So if everybody's the
oh.
same, then why would be the difference anymore? We should
So
appreciate the
what would be
difference.
considered feminine side? Like a man showing his feminine side. Give me an example. A better. Okay, I can
I saw
understand.
somebody walking around and seemed kind of walking kind of ladylike, I
Oh,
guess. And
oh,
someone said, "Oh,
okay,
but he's showing his feminine side," kind of thing.
okay. I got you. I
Yeah,
got you.
I don't
Okay.
think it's a thing, but society try to make it a thing, in my opinion.
So is being emotional considered being feminine? Do you think
No, it
for a man?
shouldn't be. That's what I'm saying. They're trying to blur everything. There's a difference
So,
between a man and a woman, but they're trying to act like it's the same. So therefore, there'll be no more meaning for a difference.
but wouldn't you think if being emotional shouldn't be, that would means that they would be right, right? That would be meaning that we all should be able to be emotional, and it shouldn't be considered any kind. It just be should consider being whatever, like whatever the same thing. Because emotional are typically taught. I mean, attached to genders, right?
You're right.
With a woman's gender, So and if a man is emotional, typically he's seen to be kind of feminine. If not, well, I mean, not
Right.
necessarily.
And
Depending on how he's
and
emotional, I guess it does depend on how. Like if he cries or something like that. But if he starts to
right, like
fight, I
say
mean,
he's
I
watching
guess
a movie or something, and so oh he's crying through the movie. Oh, that's his feminine side. That's what
uh,
that's my point. It
yeah.
shouldn't be looked that way.
Okay, okay, I think I get where you're going, but overall, how do you feel toxic femininity is a thing? If toxic masculinity is a thing, do you think there's an opposite, a juxtaposed, like, is it toxic femininity a thing?
Um, I guess it depends on the situation, but overall, yeah,
Well,
it's
let me
like the
first, do you
workplace.
believe in toxic masculinity?
I think I believe anything could be far right or far left. So I think the balance is the middle, which is hard to get at times. So
Got you,
somebody can be
got you.
overly do anything. Like you can drink too much water.
Right, 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 right. I understood, understood. And so therein lies the answer would be yes. So I'm just trying to figure out what your gauge of what toxic masculinity or femininity would be, so we can kind of get the differences. of what that even
Oh,
means, because
well, to
that's
me,
always the kind of
yeah,
basis.
to me, it would be like saying like a man has to do certain things, like the list. A woman has
Yeah.
to do this,
Hmm.
and then sometimes they trying to act like it's so much different. They don't appreciate the difference. So like, well, a woman doesn't need a man anymore, or vice
Hmm.
versa. So that's what I'm
Ah,
talking about, the
now see,
extremes.
whew, now we get into it, brother, because you said when a woman doesn't need a man no more, is that toxic femininity?
I mean, it's their right, to, a person feel that way. But what I mean is to try to say everybody should feel that way.
Mm, okay, all right. Well, anything else on it?
No, I probably stepped on some toes already, so I'll
Nah, nah,
close with
don't worry
that.
about it, man. It's all free. Look, it's all love here. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Don't when whoever's in there in the chat feel like y'all can't call up and speak up. It's nothing. Hey, listen, it's all family. This is like the church, right? You if you don't speak, you shunned on. If you don't speak up and speak your mind, because it's all love, and we gonna forget about it today and be right back here the
But
next day, unless
but
you just kind
chill.
of like.
Don't forget there are some people who don't feel comfortable speaking.
No, I'm telling y'all that if you don't, you can come up here and speak. You can. So just feel free. You can get rid of that here right now. Now, if you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just letting you know. I'm encouraging you. It's like the church, like I said. Come on up. You can sing. You can't not sing in the church, right? Yeah, come up. You just come on and speak your piece. But you can sit there. We ain't gonna be mad at you. We're just saying it ain't no foul, no ill will. And we gonna come tomorrow. We gonna have another different conversation. Now, if you feel a certain way, that's on y'all. But here we come back. We have our arguments. Come back the next day. With no qualms attached. So at least I don't. For me. And I'm pretty sure Sada, for the most part, is the same way. Now we're gonna go move on to Kim.
Oh Lord, have
Hey, Kim.
mercy.
Hey, Chill, what's going on, sir?
What's happening? Everything's good my way. I got my Starbucks, so I'm good.
Nice, nice, solid,
Hey
solid
Kim.
blue. What's up? What's up? So I don't have toxic masculinity. I think masculinity and femininity are a beautiful thing when they're in balance and they're carried as the way that they're supposed to be. I don't believe in toxic. So, of course, it's impossible for me to believe in toxic femininity. Think about it. When do we ever say this? Either it's toxic masculinity or it's toxic behavior from women. At the end of the day, men are toxic, women are toxic, children are toxic, communities are toxic. Um, whole religions are. You can name anything, and there is some toxicity within that. You know what I'm saying? So I truly don't believe. And what would toxic femininity look like? Would we cry too much, nurture too much, be too kind, sweet? I mean, you got to make it make sense. Like, what would the toxic side be? It may inflict toxicity on ourselves because we allow too much. Maybe if you want to go there up that much, but I mean, you just can't have an opposite of toxic masculinity because it doesn't make sense, even if I were to believe in either one of them, but we're just a bunch of broken ass people choosing other broken people, and then we're in then we end up in a situation where we're now both engaging in toxic behavior. And I wish I should. I was looking for my notebook when you was talking because I wanted to take a note because you said when women, I think Mr. B said when a woman
Don't
doesn't
need
need a
men.
man,
Yes. What is
doesn't
that
need a man,
called?
is that toxic femininity?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
if you believe in it, I want to know the parameters. When I'm going to ask everybody that, what do they think that? And for you,
right,
it doesn't apply, right? Because you just like the hell with all of it. But if it's too much far left or right, and by the way, you
right.
say toxicity. So it took me so long to learn how to say that word. You said effortless. This makes me embarrassed. By the way, girl. My bad.
Well, don't feel bad because I have a real big problem with other words, and I make up words, and I pronounce words wrong all the time. I just happen to have a few words that sound elegantly flowing off of my lips. So don't get too hyped. Just practice really hard. I go on Google and make Google say the word over and over again sometimes until I can get the word correctly. I can't make this shit up, and I have a great vocabulary, and I still have to do that shit. So
Okay. I don't feel
just go
so
listen
bad
to
no more.
Google. Yeah,
I feel
don't
a
feel
little
bad. Don't
less
feel bad.
bad, a
Don't
little
feel
less
bad.
bad. But
Yeah,
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 so
a little
if you
less
don't think,
bad, but
yeah, if you don't think it's applicable, then I just still want to know what that is, though. What is it? Because that's the thing. I feel like if there's such thing as toxic femininity, that would be one. That would be a trait of it. Feeling like I don't need a man ever for nothing.
but I don't know that we naturally as women that that's not really our energy. I don't believe that. I believe we need a man. I also believe that
Whew.
a woman, now again, let me be very clear, I'm speaking for myself only. I know that other people choose other people, and whoever you choose to love, choose to love. All I'm saying is that when you enter into any type
You breaking up? Is it just me
We
or
we we lost you, Kim.
okay? Gotcha. You're in the matrix. I'm sorry.
We
Maybe
lost
she's
you.
about to make a good
Okay.
point. Well,
and I am
okay.
complete. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not balanced in relationship to a man because I'm a single woman.
Mm.
We always need to balance each other out. So we have to consider that when we're looking or preparing ourselves for our partners. We shouldn't be looking, we should be preparing ourselves so that we're not in these toxic behavior patterns with people, regardless of their gender.
So for you, it's like it's something to be prepared for you, so you can offer and give to to a viable party, for less lack of
Absolutely.
better term. Got you. Got you.
No, absolutely 100% because relationships are not part of capitalism, and this is where we're so confused with relationships. People want to give, but they're expecting in return, and we should be give because we have the love and the capacity to do so, not because if I love you then I expect you to do these things ABCDE. When it because I love you, you are allowed to be exactly who you are at all times. Then I get to determine if you are someone that can be in my life and that we can move forward in whatever type of relationship we move forward in. Not me determining that I don't like this shit about you, so I'm going to need you to check your ass. No, check your own ass for asking someone if they or demanding from someone or trying to negotiate someone's behavior. If someone is too toxic for you, they don't fit who you are, then move on. I mean, it's really just really that simple. Just move on and wait and be patient and prepare yourself for the person that you can give wholeheartedly the most beautiful, whole healed love that you can give them.
Oh my gosh, this is this. Is we can we get her a publishing deal? Solid blue, please.
Now you see why I love her show. Now you see. I mean, like I said, I was just strolling on Podbean on 2 weeks ago Sunday, and I just happened upon her show, and I
I'm
was like,
follow
"Damn!"
her ass.
Even though
Follow
even though
her ass. I'm
I
about to
disagree
follow
with some
her ass
stuff.
right now. Let me follow.
So
What is this? Mash Hub.
while you're
That's
following her,
follow.
I want to read some of these comments because they are coming. So Saturday Night Smoke says every other word from Chill Will is still worth listening to. um, okay, and hold on. Let me go down some. This is okay. This is one that I thought was interesting from Alpha Mike. Any lesbians in the building who have dealt with with toxicity in relationships?
Mm.
So I think that's a good question. And on the flip side, if there's any gay men who with the whole masculine thing, so you can ask the same question. Um, and then Brina is talking about yes, we need men. I kind of disagree on that one some, but I always do. Mike says, I dealt with a woman who kept trying to compare me to a certain type of man, but she didn't have a problem with me when she wanted. That is true. Um, I am like a Crayola crayon, non toxic. That's what Saturday Smoke said. Let's see. Brina, you're saying absolutely to me. I'm not sure what you're saying absolutely for. Um, I don't bring that back into play. Not sure what you're talking about, Alpha Mike. I'm sorry. These questions were going on and people responding when people were talking. You're right. I like her and look forward to listening to her show. See, Kimberly, you are going. You're getting followers. You are getting followers today. So, Dina Joe likes you. And
I'm
this
so
Yeah.
grateful.
and to
I'm
say
so grateful.
something about Dina Joe, she has a show. Sorry to interrupt, Jill, because I have to say this before I forget.
Hmm.
Dina Joe has Chit Chat with the Old Man with Dina Joe and Eric. That comes on my time at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday. That show is a feel good show. I love it. It gets your morning started. Just a really
Just
nice show. So
can we
you
cuss
guys
on
should
that
check
show?
that out.
That's the show we
Nope,
can't cuss
you
on.
cannot curse on.
We
You
can't
can't
cut. Yeah,
curse
that's
on
the
it,
one you
and
can't
you
cuss on.
cannot
Yeah.
curse in the chat. But you know what? The show. I mean, why would you want to? I mean, because from what you're talking about, you wouldn't want to. So
I'm just
I
talking
I
mess.
know. I'm just saying. Ninja Bunny. See, beautifully said. Okay, Brina. See, Brina. Kimberly once again.
Where
Brina's
is
showing.
Brenda?
She is showing you some love.
Brenda, where you at?
Brina is showing you some love. If you don't put in an effort as I do, then I'm just going to walk away. Okay, that's what Alpha Mike says. Um, Again, Dina Jones, looking forward to your show, Kimberly. Okay, Alpha, we'll talk about the hair thing tomorrow. Oh boy. All right, and that is it. So, crazy lady, I'm sorry
Awesome.
I put you on pause for a moment, but I just wanted to get through these comments. So, chill. Back to you,
Oh, it's Crazy Lady turn. It's her turn. Go ahead.
crazy lady.
I would say I agree with Kimberly. When you get with someone, you're getting with them. Why it irritates me when people try to change like their partner. You know, like oh, I'm gonna change him so he'll be this way. If you want him to be that way, why did you get with him the way he is? You know,
Good point. A good point. These are these are things that are all up for debate, especially that the
like
concept of
everyone of us can be
just
toxic
just
at times, straight
yeah.
up.
What see the thing is though, I think from speaking about, I just want to comment on what Kimberly said. I wholeheartedly agree with you on everything you said, but the thing in people in this world are more logical or mathematical or what's the it's a better term that I can't think of for that. But it is quid pro quo. You grew up in a household like that, you grew up in a like you said, a capitalist society like that. And so to be able to differentiate that concept, especially in your personal life, and then have to walk into a professional life or a social construct outside of your personal life in the world, like to have to abide by that, that's that takes some moral what's the word? It's just you got to be stern in it. You got to be convicted in it. You have to live like just having like a certain accent and in like a for like years and in a place where they don't speak southern, like you just have to have it in you, you know what I mean, because everywhere you go it's the opposite nowadays. And so to have that point of view is it's kind of like a naturalistic point of view. With some people could call you silly for it, right? Because you just it's like almost like blind love. So I mean that, and that also leads you to accept toxicity to some degree. Or if you I guess not, because you can say, hey, you know what, you're not. We still, I love you, but we're oil and water. I still gotta leave. You know what I'm saying? But that's it's awesome. But I do want
Yes.
to, yeah, yeah. But what did I have? I wrote down something here. I do take notes. If y'all ever wonder, I do definitely take notes while people are talking. because I don't want to interrupt. We don't interrupt here in this show. So I always encourage everybody to get a pencil, paper, or I'll pull up my notes. I got a little notepad on your phone or your iPhone, and you jot little thoughts down so they can remind you of whatever that person might have brought up to so you can bring it back up when it's your turn. So that's what I kind of do if I can't remember everything. But ah, so I have to go through them real quick to make sure that I'm hitting on a point that I really wanted to go over. Um, Alpha Mike, we could do this first though. Alpha Mike did bring up something. So in a gender situation where it's you know a relationship with a man and a man, a woman, a woman could call the other woman being toxic and having toxic masculinity. And that if she's the man in the relationship, or is that such a thing? I have no idea about none of that because I'm not there. I don't even know if that's a thing. Is there a man in a relationship in a gay relationship? Like I could just be that could be my ignorance, right? So I wonder if anybody knows about that. I would love to explore that. I mean, I wish we had somebody on that can give us more outset. But I mean, I'm just gonna go just because if you may know, Solid, just tell me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think in a same sex relationship, I think that you have, I think that there's toxic. I mean, I think there's one person could be that toxic person. I mean, just like,
But would you call it toxic masculinity though?
well, I mean, if it's
You
two
know,
men, I mean, if it's two men, then yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's two women, I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, if it's a man and he's being toxic, why not call it that? If it's a woman and she's being toxic, why not call it that? So I don't know.
so so if a woman's displaying those traits though, like and she's not a man though, she's the masculine. So is
Okay.
it
So
like all right?
okay. So you're saying if one, okay. That's a good question. That's a good
To take
question.
the argument out of toxic masculinity in general, like because
Okay,
or
well
maybe
then,
not.
okay, so then, like Kimberly said, then why put the names on there and all? Why not just say that people are just toxic? I mean, because the bottom line is that's what it is. If you're in a toxic relationship, or be it a relationship as a lover or spouse or whatever, or if it's your boss or whatever, if you're toxic, you're just toxic.
Mm.
And
But I think it's the way though. Toxic masculinity is labeled toxic masculinity because of the way it's toxic. It's just not because it's toxic. Like what I mean. Like let's differentiate that as well. What can be considered toxic masculinity in my eyes would be the bro codes, the grunting, the fighting,
so
just like
okay,
the over masculine energy in the room. You
Okay,
know,
so if you're in a same sex relationship, if two women are in a same sex relationship and that one woman tends to show more masculine, side, then then I guess you would go ahead and label that person masculine.
so you're saying with like the stud maybe in the relationship that seems to be the man that taking on that role if they show those.
See, to me, when you say a man is toxic and you put that whole, he, that okay, like I said last week, I think that when you assign that label to a man, you're talking about a man who wants to be in control to the point where they're a bully. Where is my way or the highway? When I come home from work, you better have my food on the table. May not want his wife or girlfriend to work. you know um you're going to stay home and have babies. That's how I look at that term. And the
Mm,
same thing for women. I look at women who are have that term, whatever, that they're a ball buster. It's like the man can do nothing right. No matter what he
mm.
does, she always finds something that is wrong. But I want to push back on Kim, a little bit, because I don't think that women need men. And when I say that, I mean in everything. I'm sorry. It only let me go back. My dad always told my sister and I, don't rely on a man for everything. Just don't, because you may wake up one day and your husband's gone. Be that person who knows how to fix this. Don't rely on a man to fix that. Don't rely on a man to do this or do that for you. Know how to do it yourself, because a man may not be there. That is what I mean when I say you don't necessarily need a man. You can change your own tire.
Well, like, I do want. You know what? No, I know it. I'm gonna let Kim respond to that. Go ahead.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. I'm gonna have to
So
hide under the table.
no, because I completely understand what you're saying. And I can acknowledge that we should all be self-sufficient. Okay, not independent. Because again, I pick my own narratives. I feel like we should all be self-sufficient. We should all absolutely know how to cook and clean and take care of our health, self and ourselves. We cannot treat our body as a temple if we cannot sustain the place that our temple lives in. So all of that is collective, and we have to do all of those things. Absolutely. When I say I need a man, and y'all don't take this the wrong way, but this is what I mean. I need a man. You understand what I'm saying? At the depths of my soul,
I understand what you're saying.
I am as a woman and what I have to offer as a woman, I need a man. And I am absolutely sure, 100% positive that there is a man that needs me. Not that needs every other woman that steps behind me. I'm talking about that needs me. But as women, we have lost the urge to want and desire and need a man because it is conflicting with our I'm an independent woman journey and that narrative. And so then we get in these conversations where absolutely you don't need a man. Solid blue. You don't need one because you can do everything that you need to do on your own without the benefit of a man or any other person helping you for that matter. Right? But we definitely need each other. We need the balance back. We need that specific balance of energy that a woman offers and that a man offers. Again, we're not the same, and we're not supposed to be. We're supposed to be separate. I'm going to tell a quick story. I'm sitting at the bar the other night having a drink. Actually, it's the afternoon. I don't go out at night. I don't think women should go out at night by themselves. So I day drink. And so a gentleman walks in. He's an older gentleman. I mean, he's very well to do. He's a very nice guy. He's very laid back. And the majority of the time he's talking to me, he I don't know how many times he reached over and squeezed my leg. That's all he did. He was completely harmless. When I talk, I touch your arm, your leg, your back. It just depends on who it is and how well I know you. I'm a groper, right? I'm not sexually assaulting you, but I'm groping you while I talk to you, right? I'm touching you. And so one of my my drinking buddies comes in, and he saw him do it one time. He was like, Kim, you're a really good woman. Listen, a man is going to be a man. And if he's not violating you and he's not harming you and he's not assaulting you, can we just let them be men? They're sexual, they're visual, they're bold, and they are independent. You know what I mean? They are all of those things, and those things should be embraced. And we should, I'm not saying every woman's got to go allow a man at the bar to grope them. Let's not, I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. Again, I'm not for toxic behavior. So if a man is being toxic in your presence, whatever that looks like, then step away from it. Absolutely. But I'm talking about just allowing each other to be who we are. Let us women be emotional. It's what we do. We cry. We're soft, we're tender. Why can't we be those things? The men are not. They're the logical ones. They're the ones that can think through shit. I've had conversations with men, and I've had to say to them, I'm the type of woman with the businesses that I run and the life that I live, that there are days mentally that I am unstable and I'm unable to make a decision. I need a man. The type of man that I need in my life needs to be able to say, this is what you're going to do, A, B, and C, whether it's my business, my podcast, or my personal life, when I can't do it. And I need to be the woman who can trust in his judgment. that's the balance that we need. That's the balance that I'm preparing myself for, is those type of things. So again, when I say need, I mean I need him. Ooh, I need him. He needs me too.
Okay, solid. I guess you can respond because well, I'm gonna say something really quick, just really quickly, because I feel like what was lost in translation was the fact that it's the yin and yang. It's not just saying that men need women. If you say women need men as well, so that you just can't pick that part out and say, God, I mean, I know you're addressing it, but overall, I feel like she did mention that part, and I feel like that's the part I agree with. It isn't and it really doesn't mean become a need. Like the word need is probably a trigger word. So I think in sync, being in sync as men and women in our natural form, it's a beautiful thing, and a mutual, the reciprocity in it is what it can yield is a beautiful thing. But go ahead, Sada. I'm sorry.
Actually, I do want to say something back to Kimberly, but Mr. B has not had a chance to speak in a while, and I think,
Okay,
and I'm
okay,
gonna
go
yield
ahead.
my time to him.
Okay, cool. Well, my bad, Mr. B. I was getting around to you. I just they had something
Oh no,
going
no,
on,
go
so I
ahead.
didn't
I'm
want to just.
I'm listening. I'll butt in, but go ahead. I'm listening.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
So, Kimberly, I understand what you are saying. My problem with it is I don't. I mean, I can appreciate saying if you need some help with something or you can't figure something out, you can ask your man to assist you or help you or whatever, but not to say this is how you're going to do it, blah 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 blah. I would make it more of you may want to consider doing it this way, whatever, so it doesn't sound to me where it's a control thing. And I think that what you're saying in terms of I think what you said could be the balance that you need for yourself, but other people in their relationship, they may find a balance with each other in a different way.
okay, cool. Go ahead, Kim.
Oh, I was just going to say, as well, they should. I absolutely 100% agree with that statement. We should all look for what balances us. Absolutely 100%. There is very few people, and I'm just being honest, that agree with me. I have had people leave my show because and accuse me of like fairy tale idealistics and all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? So I get that, but I truly believe that we should be patient and get ourselves back in balance with who we truly are as individuals, and then find that match mate for us, whoever that is.
Roger that. Emanating, I can dig whatever you emanate or you put out there is what you receive back, and necessarily doesn't have to come through it necessarily like just an intimate relationship. You get great relationships, and amongst that, great people to come around, and eventually you'll get your great person that come to you. So I do believe in that theory. One way or the other, it'll come around. But I'm gonna go move on to Crazy Lady, then bye, so we can and then I'll go to the chat because I know it's a lot of been going on in the chat as well. I'm sorry, y'all, but I guess it's a hot topic today. Crazy Lady, what do you think about? I think we're initially we were talking about the two same sex, and then we got into needing a man. So those are the two topics we're discussing.
Okay, with the male masculine energy,
Right, right, right.
uh, I have like sometimes I feel I have a lot of male masculine energy around me because of my environment growing up. I mean, I've had more than one relationship. You know, guy tell me, you know, you're emotionally unavailable a lot of times, and it took me a little while to like step back and go, what do they mean by that? And then I realized what they meant by it and trying to correct that. That's why I say, all of us can be toxic. Just how we choose to deal with that toxicity and recognizing toxicity in ourselves and trying to not make it toxic anymore. That was it. That's all I had to say.
Okay, cool. So I want to hit you with a question real quick. crazy lady. Kim hit me with a brick with what she said. Kind of she's or just in general for everybody. She said, "Let women be women and let men be men." Now, defining that as something else, but if in some cases, I would definitely say that a woman would call this being toxic. Me, letting a woman, even assuming that a woman is emotional, she's more emotional. Like naturally, you feel like those are their traits. But doing that, I've been told that's toxic in general. Like oh, why would you assume that I need help or I need I don't know if it's the feminist ideology in general completely, but it's definitely a thing by that. And that in itself could be toxic in certain cases. I don't know. So you saying that being would you consider that being toxic? If I was like, you know what, as a man, I think you should be more emotional because you're a woman, or what I'm saying, or any reference to that. So is that being toxic to you?
Um, no, because like when I say emotionally unavailable, like I don't like share like any information. Like, yeah,
Right. So for
feelings.
me asking you to be that way, you wouldn't consider that
No,
anything. You was
it's not
just
being
being
toxic. It's not being toxic if I'm behaving in the like if I'm being unemotionally available, and someone saying, "Hey, you're being emotional, unavailable." That's not being toxic. That's actually being loving toward me, saying, "Hey, you know, uh, you're being a little toxic right now." You know what I
so
mean?
so you're saying you're the one being toxic to
Yeah.
some degree. Okay, cool,
Yes.
cool, cool, cool.
I mean,
Is that a reason why? Is it a reason why you're emotionally unavailable? Is that a thing that is it something that you've been through? Or, I mean, how do you
um,
explain that part to
uh,
them
well,
when they say something like
well,
that?
it's both. Part of it's uh the way I was brought up, and part
Hmm.
of it, is wounds that I carry from, it's baggage,
Mm.
you know,
And
and
you were
I
brought up how you were brought up. Who raised you? I mean, not to be rude. Like
my father,
your who?
my father,
Oh, well then see that makes sense, right? That will go along with
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I just wanted to kind of ask that. That's awesome. Anything else?
Um,
I don't want to cut you off.
and I agree with Kim. I mean, Ross, he was like what 40, or yeah, he was in his 40s when he met me, and I'm the first person that loves him unconditionally. You know, I mean, he's my best friend. We have our moments, but
Yeah,
I love him for him. You know,
that's awesome, man. I can't wait for that to happen for me. But thank you. Yeah, and we're gonna move to the incomparable, undeniable, Byron.
I love it. Cheers, bud.
What up, big dog?
Not much, not much.
All
I
right.
love
So,
love this show. I love this topic in particular. I'm sorry I was late for the start of it, but I'm glad
it's all
you're
good, bro.
doing a part two. I just want to reiterate from last week's show. Uh, I did say it in the chat as well. So for the people that didn't hear, I strongly believe this phrase toxic masculinity, it doesn't exist, but it does in our messed up world. And I would differentiate the two of them, the two phrases. You can be toxic, men can be toxic, women can be toxic. But the fact that we know this term and it's out there and it's been circulating for a good few years now, to me is it's like proof of what they're trying to do is link those two words together. I would separate them. I'd say that people can be toxic, but toxic masculinity does not exist. The traits of being toxic are separate. Men and women are different. They possess different traits. Some say women are more agreeable and more emotional and more sensitive and all that kind of stuff, and then men are more, you know, attacking, like try to think of the words. I should know them, but like, you know what I mean. Men are, the forceful ones, probably, the ones that go out and work and they've had to provide throughout generations of time. When you think back to like cavemen, the men would go out and hunt and gather, and the women would stay home and nurture the kids, and that sticks with us. It's like so much of how we are today as human beings is in our genetics, it's in our DNA, and it's probably why we are different, and it's a good thing that we're different, I think. Um, but yeah, toxic masculinity is definitely, it's not a trait, and even I think on last week's show you said, is feminine toxic femininity, is it even a thing? And you're right, I've never heard that phrase out there. So that's kind of showing people that this is obviously an agenda, and I would say the agenda is to kind of split up the family unit, and not only men and women. Like, relationships don't really last long nowadays. Marriages, for sure. I think it's every 4 and 5 marriages will end in divorce now, and it's all because of this rhetoric, this feminist weaponized rhetoric, that they're kind of making men and women split up a lot and divorce, because it's more beneficial for the state, to have single parents and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I would really push back on this kind of stuff. Yeah.
I got some questions for you, brother. And I'm sorry in the
Mhm.
chat, but we gonna have to figure out. Lisa, just please keep up with it for me if you can, because I got a question for Bob. And so, if a man is, if he works too much, if a man is, he never cries, if a man, he's he's just hard all the time. If a man is homophobic, if I think you see where I'm going with this.
Mhm.
What do you call it?
That's just toxic, because those traits you just said there, like if he's emotionless or homophobic or
Okay,
aggressive, or like you say, even to the extreme extent of, like, say a man beats his wife, then that's not a trait of being a man, because in my book, being a man is
okay,
being a gentleman. You look at, like, the wife threw on breakfast at Tiffany's last night, and I've never seen it, Audrey Hepburn, and you see the way that gentlemen behave. They carry the woman's stuff, they put the jacket over them, they walk on the right side of the road. That's gentlemanly. That's
got
a man, So
got you.
these traits that they're trying to pin onto men are just traits. They're toxic traits, but they're not a trait of being a man. It's like basically saying that because I was born a man, these traits are in my blood. They're in my DNA. That's not the case. These traits are
Okay,
bad traits and they're
so
learned.
those aren't in your. So you're saying that to be a provider, to be a fighter, a protector, but over the work too much, overly protecting. That's not an. I mean, those are all traits today prescribed. This kind of prescribed to men. Because same thing with women. Let's do this. What a woman that cries too much, or complains too much, or feel like doesn't want to work. You know what I'm saying? So these are traits that are typically naturally, some say biologically, given to women and men. And so when there's too much of that, you're calling it toxic. But but the reason why I feel like toxic femininity and masculinity is a thing is when you get too much of those gender role like type traits when it's over the top. So you're saying it's not a thing, but that means that men aren't. If you're saying it's not a thing, does it mean that it's not anything as a naturally a man being or protective, or a man naturally being like promiscuous? So you're saying that's not a thing either? Because if you're saying that it's not a thing, that you're saying that these things aren't there either. That it's just men aren't at
Yeah,
20 fuck, bunny rabbits,
yeah.
because that's basically what you're saying to some degree.
I think the way to define it is, like, that's behavioral. I think behaviors are learned. So the behaviors I'm thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking, like, the toxic masculinity stuff that we're hearing about is like being possessive or being aggressive or being homophobic or being,
Hmm.
just, those are behaviors that are learned probably by our parents or society in some way, and they're not traits of being a man. They're not in our DNA to be possessive or jealous or aggressive.
Mm.
So that's where I'm saying they're not linked. Like, if someone is beating their wife, then that's not a trait of being a man. It's a trait that they've learned, and it's a toxic trait. But it's not. It's nothing to do with being the man, because we can also see that women can beat their husbands. So that debunks that. That kind of shows you that it's not just a masculine trait.
But what we consider masculine traits then, and can you do overdo those traits? Like there can't. So you're saying there can't be a symptom of being overly what's considered quote unquote overly masculine that are naturally men traits. Like so whatever you
Yeah.
don't, because that's fine. Just throw those out. Whatever you don't consider a man trait, take the whatever you consider a man trait and say,
Mhm.
hey, you're overdoing it. That's toxic masculinity. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
would say
You don't you wouldn't subscribe to that at all. Still,
the one that springs to my mind is, I think Kim maybe mentioned it, or someone said um about keeping our emotions in, maybe not crying, not letting our emotions out. That's kind
mm,
of a man trait. But again, I think it's learned. I don't think, I may be being a bit broad, and obviously I don't know what I'm speaking about, but I think men are born and we're pretty similar, and we learn a lot of our traits. But like
got you.
keeping your emotions in is being, it's kind of in society, on the TV, or maybe your parents have told you boys don't cry, men don't cry, and it's kind of ended that way, where we just, a lot of men, including myself, were quite quiet, we're withdrawn, we go to work, we don't really moan about life, we just keep all our emotions in, and that can be toxic. It really can. It can end in serious disaster. You can end up,
Right,
suicide or whatever.
right,
But
right, right.
again, I wouldn't say they're masculine traits. I'd say they're learned traits. So I don't know,
Got you.
unless you can give me one that you believe is a
Yeah,
masculine trait.
yeah. That I just wanted to see if there anything because you got to be able to, you can't say men have certain natural traits and then when it comes to a subject to say, hey, you know what? It's I feel like that's what toxic masculinity for me defines when a man is getting too much of, some of those learned things. You're right, we learn them as a society, but some of them I think just naturally, like a man to be a womanizer and women. I don't. That's the biggest thing that maybe a woman wouldn't understand because they don't have the same type of testosterone that's flowing through their veins. They may not understand that. So women. So some women may say, hey, you know what? That's a man being a man. Other women like, oh hell no. You know what I'm saying? So things of that nature that are considered that could be considered toxic, right? And so that would make sense in that, right? And so that's the only time I was just playing devil's advocate, but I understand what you're saying for the most part. And I know we've been on there. I don't want to beat a dead horse because Crucible's right here waiting. Hey,
Can't
Crucible, what
wait,
up, big
wait, wait,
dog?
wait, 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 wait. Hold on.
Okay, go to okay.
Like I had to interrupt, crazy lady. So, Crucible, I know you're waiting, but we have a lot of chat to read, so I just want to get some of this out.
You right, you right.
Just Rob says my father never allowed my mom to drive when he left. When he left, I had to drive her around. I started driving at age 11. And Bahram responds to me saying human instinct is to pair off with a partner that's different at to being self-sufficient. Um, hold on. Yeah, like me driving Monte Carlo. Okay. Ruthless says, I need a godly woman. Guess I will be waiting a long time. Chuckle, chuckle. Um, that's not a boat. That's a car. Alpha Mike is showing Kimberly some love. Alpha Mike says men want to feel wanted. Thank you for sharing and liking the show.
Rob said it's probably been addressed before, but do toxic people know they're being toxic? Which is that's another
Yes,
good.
and that was another one that was way, way, way up there. Sorry, I missed
Yeah.
that one. And
No,
Alpha,
I just was trying to help out.
okay, Alpha Mike says it's nice to be with someone that you can connect with, but also be able to be your own individual as a man or a woman. Um, and Kim, I was responding to you. I don't leave your show. I stick around to see where the ride takes me. And let's see. Thank you for
Ninja
sharing the
Bunny
show.
says, Rob, I don't think toxic people recognize they're being toxic, which is another question we can get into. Go ahead.
Okay. See, Ruthless says when a man truly loves a woman, she becomes his weakness. When a woman really loves a man, she becomes his strength. Exchange of power. That's interesting. Um, Rob says, I know women who are detached from emotion. Not all men are detached from their emotions either, is the response. Alpha Mike agreed. Some think a man who shows his emotions weak, but it takes a lot out of a man to show their feelings.
He also said there's actually a group of guys on social media like Instagram that are for male masculinity. They promote it all the time, and he said I can't remember the name though.
Okay. Crazy Lady says emotions are a weakness that can be used against you in my father's world. That's interesting. And some people do feel that men and women feel that if you're weak, then that's not cool. Rufus says I've only seen my dad cry once in his life, and that's when he lost a child. Um, Rob responding to Crazy Lady, he is right to a point. We choose who to give that power to. Ruthless says, now people just don't know how to work things out anymore, plus a lot of temptation to just move on to the next. Alpha Mike says, some women are actually turned off by a guy who's open with his feelings, but later end up wondering why they end up with assholes. Will
With a
cause you
douchebag.
don't, well, you don't want a good guy.
Oh, that's a whole nother show we can have about that, brother.
And Kimberly, you're clapping. Not sure who you're clapping for because a lot's been going on. Crazy Lady says no, dad was toxic in the extreme sense. There was no discussions of emotion at any time. I can count on one hand how many times my father said "I love you" to me. Oh, and Just Rob says toxicity is a learned behavior. Y'all got a lot of chatting here. Men are supposed to be providers and protectors. Rob says that's my father too. Crying was not allowed around him. You were a sissy if you cried. And see, that's a problem too. You know, some men are taught not to, to be men. Um, Responding to Bahram, Rob says, like you said, those aren't exclusive to men. Let me rephrase that. Husbands are supposed to be providers and protectors. Ooh, Lord, y'all got a lot going on. My father, Dina says, when my father, when he was around, would be that with my brothers. To this day, my brothers will give me crap when I cry, saying, you're a, okay, you can't cry. Okay, saying, okay. So the people in your family not supposed to cry. Heiko says some men don't cry in the crowd; they rather cry in a hidden area. Alpha Mike,
Like in the corner in the basement.
uh, I broke I broke out of that. You're whatever. No, my name is Michael, and choose to be my own person. Okay. Crazy Lady says, Stiff the Betrayal of the American Male by Susan Faludi. Okay, I'm assuming that's a book. Just Rob says, I choose daily not to be like my dad. To chill, boss says, we'll hear you, but definitely needs more exploring on my part. Crazy Lady highly recommends the book. Um, and no relationship is 50-50. Heiko says, or some men, they don't show their emotions. Dina Joe, Mike is agreeing with you. At one time, it may be 75-25%. The Crazy Lady's talking about emotions. Thank you all for liking the show. Thanks for sharing. Woo, y'all.
Absolutely, and I want to
Dang.
thank y'all too, because right, there's a lot. It's engaging. So, and I appreciate that, and we appreciate that, because like I think these conversations they jog our mental capacities and challenge our I kind of like thought processes, and it's just it's good, make you more well-rounded person, more well thought out person, and then sometimes you don't have those feelings or you feel some way, but you can't completely explain it. So it definitely helps me further explain myself when I feel something right, or it may change my mind. So it's always appreciated when y'all, whether you up here on the line or in the chat. So I mean, I don't know how long Crucible has been here,
He's been
but
here for a
he has the
while.
floor. Yeah,
Thank
he's
you.
he's
Thank you for
and what he's
waiting. He's being
heard.
patient.
But whatever you want to comment on that, brother, you got the floor.
Well, if it helps you at all, Will, I have to shave again since when I got on here. So that's how long I've been waiting. Anyway, a great topic. Hello, everybody. I wanted to just take this in a little bit of a different direction without at the risk of overstating it or being too obvious. I think what's happened in recent years, and Bob made a good point using the word weaponize. I think what's happened over the last few years is the word toxic and toxicity have been thrown around so much that they've almost been watered down, and people use them as a way of either shutting down a conversation or demonizing somebody who they don't necessarily agree with. So when I look at the word toxic or toxicity, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. It means poisonous. But I also think there's an underpinning there that goes to intent. I don't think if you're emotionally unavailable because that's your personality, you're having a mood, or there's just something about you that day or that week that you're being toxic. Just because somebody disagrees with your behavior doesn't mean it's toxic. I think toxic is a very high bar to clear, and we throw it around in ways that cheapen the word. And we can't accuse somebody of being toxic simply because at that moment we're disagreeing with their behavior. Now, we all recognize toxic behavior, but I think there has to be some intent there. It can't just be a person in the course of living their life and the ups and downs, whatever they're going through. If your woman or your man or a friend of yours or you're an employer, anybody disagrees with what you're doing at a particular time, the word toxicity and toxic are very, very quick to come out of people's mouths because I think, like Bob said, there's an intention behind it. People choose that word on purpose. There's plenty of other words you could use to disagree with somebody's behavior, but when you pull out toxic, you're going for the heavy artillery. You're not stopping at go to collect $200. You're going straight for the jugular. And if that behavior's been building up over a period of time, you maybe have a pretty good case. But to accuse people of being toxic, I think not only does not advance the conversation, but it's demonizing and penalizing people because you don't happen to agree with the way they're acting at that particular time.
Yeah, well, hey, that's well said. If anything, whether you agree with him or not, it's well said. Damn it. Um. So, yeah. Let me look and see right here. I had a couple of topics I want to explore, and it has definitely slipped my mind. But I'll go to another one that I was thinking about. Now someone mentioned some like they mentioned about if I think was it Alpha Mike? You said if they walk away, about walking away from a situation that someone isn't putting their efforts into. Um, so you walk away. I feel like I've been called toxic for that as well. How do you feel like is that such thing as is toxic more like a adjective or is it can it be like passive and being toxic? I don't know. How y'all feel about that? Is it just the behavior in general? You know, how would you define it? Is it active, more active, or is it passive? Like, or is it combination of both? I guess we're gonna start off with solid because we're back at the
I
round
will
robin.
come back to you can come back to me. Go to Mr. B because he has been
Okay,
waiting, and then you can
Mr. B.
come back to
Then
me.
okay, gotcha.
I think that's a good question. I think it's very deep. I think it's complicated, but to make it easier, I think the best way to look at it as water. And what I mean by that is water is water, but it could change to different things. Water can be ice, water can be gas. So it depends on how you use it.
Oh yeah, look, I got you. I got you. I got you. It's but have you? Well, all right. Well, let me take it. Just although it's not necessarily related, are you a proponent of sticking in there or leaving? Like like Alpha Mike said. Like so, if you were in a relationship and you feel like all right, they're not giving their best, so I'm just gonna leave. You know, how quick is that trigger? If because that's
Uh,
subjective, right?
yeah.
Somebody can feel like I'm doing everything I got. You know, so say for instance, me personally, I woman, I would don't have much time, work a lot, got two jobs, DJ by night, you know, I do other my regular job is my regular job. So, I would try to I work from home though. So I would try to be at the person's house, hey, this is the way we can spend time. I know you work 3 days a week because she's in the medical field. Maybe I can be here more like this way. Maybe I come over at night and then you get considered like things like that. And so for me, I'm thinking I'm putting my efforts. For her, it's like, you know what, you at work while you're here. I'm kind of like a two in one for you. I'm getting the booty call hours. I'm like just an afterthought for you. And so if you walk away, is that being considered? You feel like there's a that have you done that? You think it's toxic? Is that toxic behavior? And how
Well,
would you handle that?
well, no, I don't think that's toxic. I think toxic as being an abuser or some hurting someone mentally or physically. So at that point, I think if you're walking away, I think sometimes that's the best thing to do.
Got you.
I don't
It,
I don't see that as
isn't that
being
right?
toxic.
It's not necessarily active, or is got you. So all right.
Right,
Well, anything
unless
else?
someone's trying to talk to you, like really trying the all with you, and you just being quiet. I
Mm,
think that could be looked at as being toxic in knowing someone's feelings. So I think of it more. I guess more like action because sometimes doing nothing is still doing something. So I guess I
right. So
see it
that's
more.
what I mean. So that's why I want to ask you that question to kind of you know because you mentioned water, but that necessarily wouldn't be directly in
Well,
reference to
it depends how you
toxic.
look at it because what I mean is it's you can
I know
use it
what
for
you
different
mean.
things.
I'm sorry. I know
Yeah,
what you mean, but I'm just trying to put it in the context for everybody else. Oh,
right.
yeah. Okay. And oh yeah. So Alpha Mike says if you don't walk away, then aren't you being toxic to yourself? That's always the line that we have to toe. When is it too bad for you? You know, um, but I don't necessarily call putting in the effort. And it is how long is whenever you break, whenever you start getting mentally, you know, disabled. You know, but I'm gonna go on to Kim. So, what do you think?
Well, I think a whole lot. I got a whole page of notes, but I'm not
Yeah,
going to address
just
them. I
yeah,
promise. I
no, no,
promise. I
whatever is
promise. But
relevant, whatever's
yeah,
relevant,
no.
address.
I want to address Alpha Mike too because, and you, Chill Will, because I'm gonna be honest with you. So, and this is two different friends' perspectives. So, I'm at a place in my life where I'm fully aware of who I am, and I know who. I say I got a different rhythm than everybody else. I don't move the same way that everybody does. So the person that I'm waiting for, preparing myself for, is we're going to harmonize. The minute I know that we're not harmonizing, I'm out. They call it ghosting. I have one friend that says, you have really bad behavior. You shouldn't do that to people. You shouldn't ghost them. My other friend is like, it's really, really, really great that you're at a place in your life where you can see the red flags and be willing to just walk away from them instead of trying to address them. I don't need to address someone else's red flags. Not at my age anyway. Maybe this younger generation, maybe, y'all can work together and groove and all that. But I'm about to be 52 years old in a couple weeks. And the last thing I'm going to do is have a conversation with a grown ass man about bad behavior. You know what I mean? And in my defense, everybody who comes in contact with me initially, I will let them know I am known for ghosting. And that just means we not vibing. I'm not gonna break up with every man that try to talk to me. I ain't got that kind of time. I'm kidding.
So,
I'm joking. It's a joke,
so
but
a
it's not.
quick question. I got a quick. So, if you
Of
don't
course.
address it, how they would be? How? So you just saying them being them. If it don't work, you getting the hell out of there.
I
If
mean,
they're
this
being
my
themselves, and if it's not working by the age of whatever, because I don't know if you're younger or older than me, whatever that person is, you feel like that's just not gonna work because I've seen these red flags and it's no addressing them. Period. Just let's get out of there.
Yes. Now, I usually will address directly the bad behavior. Like I will say, I will address it. I will do, but I'm not going to engage any farther past that. I'm going to say, hey, look, and this is just the way I talk. This is for real. Like I'm like this
Mhm.
off, but I'm just going to be like, listen, great time, whatever. It was nice talking to you for a couple of days. But it's obvious that this behavior right here is not conducive with how I move. I appreciate you. And, I'm out. And I'll address the behavior if it's, directly in my face and we're having a conversation. But what I'm not going to do is engage. So I shouldn't say I ghost them because I'm not going to engage past that. Like we're not going to talk about it. You're not going to give me reasons why you're like this. You're not going to tell me about your, this and and that and the other and blah blah blah, because that's not where I'm at. The only thing that I will take is that the immediately there is that you are addressing your own accountability for your own bad behavior. If we stay in a toxic relationship, uh, Alpha Mike, oh, I wish I could find his comment because I halfway wrote it down. But what he say? It's more about something about accepting it. Aren't we then like accepting
Right.
being toxic to ourselves? Yes and no. What we are doing is engaging in toxic behavior. When they say when two or more tango, that means whether you stay and engage or whether you stay and allow, it's still engagement. You're still engaging with that person. And it's the engagement that I'm walking away from. I'm not going to have conversations. You're going to have to find a therapist, or you're going to have to deal with your own trauma, your own wounds, and find a way to heal at that point. Like,
I don't know. Engaging is. I think. I don't. Go ahead, solid.
No, I
no,
mean,
you
no, I
Oh,
just, I'm sorry, I'm sorry because Kim, you have said so much, and I mean, everyone has said so much, but when people are toxic, it depends on how you take that word. Now, like Kim said, to engage with someone who over and over and over, and I'm going to use this word again, who is a repeat offender, and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Yes, I will get silent. Yes, I will not say anything because it's not worth me saying anything. At some point, you get to a point either in a relationship where you're friends, again, if it's your boss, if it's your spouse, whatever, where you guys are just butting heads. There's no wiggle room anywhere, whatever. So for me, I'm not going to keep talking to this person. I'm just going to walk away. And there is a time when you walk away, when you have to walk away for your own sanity and probably for theirs too. I'm not saying as soon as things start breaking down, you leave. But if it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over, I can't do it. I cannot do it. So, Kim, I understand what you're saying. I understand what a lot of people said, but when you say toxic, again, what do you mean toxic? And then for some people, it's like they may not like the stuff you say, so they call you another word, or they do something else to you, or they lash out, and they hit whatever. But when you say toxic, what is toxic? Because for me, sticking around and dealing with the same stuff over and over, I'm not doing it.
are you asking me what I feel like actual toxic like behaviors are?
I mean, I'm just saying that when people, I'm just saying that when people say things, about not wanting to deal with stuff, or you have stuff going on in your life, and they call it toxic. Well, is it toxic for someone to call you a name? Is it toxic for someone to slap to slap you? Is it toxic for a boss, to fire you? Whatever. I mean, when you say toxic, maybe we need to really look at what this word really means. What is toxic? And that's, yeah.
Well, yeah, like Crucibles, I think it was Crucible said, and it might not have been Crucible, it might have been Ba, but somebody said that toxic was actually poisonous. And so we're talking about behaviors. If you even take poisonous out, there's, and I'm looking up words. I'm just a word person, so I'm literally looking at the word toxic online right now. And there's other words like dangerous and destructive and venomous. So if you're with someone who has behaviors that are harmful or can be harmful to themselves or to you, or can get to the level of harming another person, and they're not taking any accountability for their own healing, and it is keeping you in a stagnant state of energy, and it's keeping you from you becoming and from the other person becoming, then you're in a toxic relationship. I'm not talking about very loud individual. Actually, just I'm loud, I'm bold, I'm brass, I'm loud, and I'm not. A lot of men lot of women do not like that about me. I don't think it's a toxic behavior because my intentions are never, I don't demean people. I don't, I don't look to be venomous towards them. I don't look to be dangerous or destructive towards them. I'm just a loud person. And so to one person, for someone to sit and say that because my loudness makes me toxic, I'm talking about actual destructive behaviors that weaken that you in a relationship as a unit and weaken each other individually, specifically those type of behaviors.
And now I feel like we get into it because that what you're saying, that's all subjective, right? So that's how that's absolutely a great definition. I think it's understood that we all may have our different levels of what we consider toxic, and not only just levels, but things, actual situations that we can be considered toxic, what we can and can't take. Well, I mean, and obviously either you don't accept it or not, and yeah, should the person change or not? That's a debate in itself. That's a whole show within itself. Should we accept or should we change? Especially if we don't think there's nothing wrong. But yeah, that's awesome. I want to go to the crazy lady because she's been waiting a long time, and you got Bot and you got Crucible and Ziller. Ziller's here, so thanks everybody for coming in. But go ahead, crazy lady. I know you probably have things you want to chime in on as well.
Well, yeah, like what may be toxic like to one person, like okay, the way I look at relationships, like if you have someone that cheats on you all the time, right? Like every time you turn around, he's screwing someone else, okay? Either you accept that about them and get over it and be okay with it and come to whatever, agreement the two of you may have, or leave,
But hold on. Now, should that change?
If well, not if he's a repeat offender over and over and over. Like, oh baby, I got caught. I'll never do it again. And he gets caught again
So
and
you think
again.
they're a lost cause? So
Well,
you should leave.
yeah, either, I have a friend that, her husband cheats on her all the time. And she gets like old ghetto, like be, showing up and like that. Yeah, they just be all drama like. But I tell her, this about him, okay? Either you have to accept it and get over it and be okay with it, or you need to move on because anything other than those two things, it's toxic. It's not good for you. It's not good for him. It's not good for your kids. It's not good for anybody. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, so you think there's a such thing as Stockholm syndrome? Like, you just get induced and like you become like almost gluttonous, like for pain in that situation.
I don't know.
Okay, got you. All right, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, all right.
Jill, we need to take a brief chat
Okay,
break.
cool,
So,
Go ahead.
okay. Rena says, personally, I prefer to walk away or take some time to prevent saying something I really don't mean. Mr. B says, right, Mike. Elgato says, I'm out. Thank you for coming. Linga Longa, speak your truth, Will. Alpha
What up,
says,
Linger?
chill. If you don't walk away, then you aren't you okay to yourself? Can you read that?
That's the yeah.
I want to. Rob says, I want to walk away from an argument that isn't getting us anywhere. Um, let's see. Rob
Tuttles, what's up?
says, okay. Caps, behave yourself. Rob says, I'll come back in. We have both cooled down. Okay. Um, let's see. Y'all got a lot. I mean, a lot of chat here. Lots of greetings to people. Alpha says it wasn't about the body; it's more about your rights and who you are. Okay, that was a comment that he made about women feeling their rights are being taken away. And Alpha says Kimberly Michael, ghostwriter. Ha ha ha. Um, okay, and Tuttles wants to know why Brina isn't on the panel. I do believe she's working. Um, Alpha says if it's not worth your time, then don't waste it. Let's see. Rob says took me about 3 years after the relationship was over to realize it was toxic. It was a toxic relationship. Dina Jones says love her. I'm assuming you're talking about Kimberly Michael. Okay, thank you everyone again for liking the show. Let's see. Alpha says you use up a lot of your energy when you engage.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, you do.
Can I speak? Hello.
Hold on, Caps.
Caps, hold on. I said behave yourself, Caps.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know how to
What
put
up,
my
big
hand
dog?
up in here.
Let's see. Alpha says you use up a lot of your energy when you engage. There was a lot of gaslighting. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to get through the chat. I've been told that I don't read all the chats. I'm trying to read all the chats. So let's see. Gotta
We
run.
can only do so much, because the chat sometimes be boring.
Yeah, but still, I mean, people who don't come up on the panel or they don't feel like they want to, they still have something to say. So I want to be able to make sure I get everybody, so I don't get accused for not reading all the chats. Okay, what about when you're in a toxic marriage and kids are involved, so you stay for the kids? Good point. Okay, most of them are likes. Okay, so we are done with the chat. So I think Bob is his turn next, and Caps, you're just going to sit and be patient. Hold your horses.
You fourth in line, brother.
And behave, okay? Behave. That is the word for the day for you, Caps. Behave. And no interruptions, but we love you. Okay, Bob.
You do.
No, I'm kind of good. There's nothing I've heard that I've really felt the need to get my pen out and jot down and take people to task. So, so I'll pass the mic.
Crucible.
Yeah, I think you guys are making some good points, and a lot of times what happens between two people in a relationship may seem from the outside to be dysfunctional and bizarre, and you think to yourself, how do these two people coexist? But that's sometimes their way of showing their love for each other. It may not make sense to those of us looking in from the outside, but relationships are funny, and we need different things at different times. And what looks like a toxic and dysfunctional relationship to some people may be just two people's way of showing their love. I remember there's a Woody Allen movie. I can't remember what it was. Might have been Annie Hall. And he said, I remember this old joke. A guy walks into a psychiatrist's office and he says, Doc, I need your help. My brother thinks he's a chicken. And the psychiatrist goes, well, why don't you turn him in? And he said, well, I would, but I need the eggs. And he said it reminded him of relationships. They're bizarre, they're strange, they're dysfunctional, but we stay in them because we need the eggs. And so what may look like a toxic or unhealthy or poisonous relationship to people on the outside may just be that couple, those two people's way of expressing their feelings for each other. It sounds bizarre and it sounds dysfunctional, but it exists.
But really quick, Crucible, isn't that what we would call that, a dysfunctional relationship? No matter what, like say for instance, we all know that couple that they fight. They literally fight. Like women not scared of his ass. She was. Why are you looking like that at that ass? Swap. You know what I'm saying? Like they argue, cuss each other out. I mean I think we can all agree that's toxic behavior. Not whether it works for them or not. I mean, I guess do you feel like we're wrong as to label them from the outside looking in? Is that what you're saying?
We're not really wrong, but we're using our definition of toxicity. We're saying if those things went on in my relationship, I wouldn't be in the relationship. So we've got a standard. We all have individual standards of what we consider tolerable or toxic or whatnot. It's a very subjective thing. So you're not wrong for judging it. You're using your standard. They may be using a completely different standard. So I think it should be up to the two people in the relationship to decide what's toxic and what isn't. It doesn't matter what you or I think. We have our own definition of what we think it is, and we employ it when we think it's necessary. But it sounds counterintuitive, I know, and I'm not advocating for toxic relationships. I'm just saying we don't know what goes on between two people, and what they've decided is an appropriate way to express their love for each other. It just happens to be the way two individuals decided to go about their relationship. And it's not for us to judge. I don't agree with toxic behavior. I would go run 100 miles in the other direction. But we don't always know what's going on. And our version of a certain definition of behavior may not line up with somebody else's. And it's up to them to decide what they want to live with and what they can't tolerate.
But when does it become? When it's your brother or your sister or your mother or your daughter? You see what I'm saying? When you're looking at this and you recognize it to be such, you're gonna make some judgments. You're gonna make some accusations. You're gonna feel some kind of way, right? So what do
No
you do at
question.
that point?
No question. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it can't spill over into other, especially when you have kids. You can't have a toxic relationship in a household with kids. They're going to learn that behavior, and you can't excuse it by saying, well, this is how we express our love for each other. So that's a fair point. If there's other people involved that it spills over into, that's a whole different story. I'm just talking about two people without any family attenuations or any siblings or things like that. Because that's the case, then yeah, you have a valid point there. Now you're talking about toxic behavior that's affecting all kinds of individuals who may or may not be in a position to assess what's toxic and what's not. So yeah, that's a fair point, Will.
Yeah, right on, brother. Well, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, Ziller. Big dog. When's that cash? When's that cash?
Hey, I say this is TikTok. The whole platform is TikTok. Toxicity.
God damn, Ziller. That's okay. That's it. Is that it? You
Yep.
talking about Podbean in general, or just the show, or
Well,
what?
no,
Podbean.
the whole damn thing.
My man, spoken like only King Zach Ziller can say. That's awesome, brother. All right, Cass, bro. Hey, you got it,
Yo, you're
baby.
gonna listen now, yeah? All right. Hello, everyone. I
My
hope you're
dog.
doing very well. Good
Yes, Caps,
afternoon, good
we are
night.
going to listen.
Yeah, okay. So, like, I've got a relationship and I've got 4 children, and it's ups and downs. You can say toxic, but one day it could be toxic, and the next it could be different. So, like, it's hard when you're learning as a parent and everything like that. It's really hard. So you get your ups and downs throughout lives of them being babies and then being like all the stages of when they're growing up. So you've got to really understand that like we're learning as well as the children. And if you're actually in a toxic relationship, sometimes it's not as easy as you think it is. It's not. And but you still carry on because you love that person and but you've got to try. That's all I can say because there's so many people without their dads or without their mums, and it's crap for the child. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say really. And
Real
you can
quick,
understand where
Caps.
I'm coming from. Go
Yeah,
on.
I understand, but Mike brought up a good point. When is it when you love yourself first?
Well,
When I
you know
mean,
what? I'm not going to lie. When I love myself to a degree because I can't love anyone else if I don't love myself. So I kind of love myself. I've got that at bay, but it's more to the point when you can actually be yourself rather than love yourself. It's be yourself, and when you can be yourself is when your kids are actually got ground under their feet and they can actually walk and get a job and make sure you can see them doing their things. I suppose that's why I've only had 4 children. I could have had 10. And like my missus is sterilized because of that fact because I only have to look at her and she's fucking pregnant, so it's unreal. But like the point is like you have to come to a point in your life, and we don't have the happiest of times, but we don't have the worst either. And you got to weigh it up, and you got to look at your children. You look at all of your movement. And toxic, you can call something toxic. You can see a problem one day and see, oh, they are toxic. But if you actually live the life, people make mistakes, and you don't automatically assume, I suppose. But yeah, like we're all human, and You've got to realise that we've all got feelings and we all need to express them every now and again, and that
Okay.
sometimes ultimately means that we're toxic sometimes, but really it's we're venting maybe. But anyway, I'm going to shut up and I'm sorry, but yeah, cool, cool.
No, all right, big dog. I got you. So we winding out we winding down the show. I know Sada is he's really keen on stopping on time and being on time in general. So I want to know. We're probably just gonna go into closing statements. I'm pretty sure she's gonna read the rest of the chat. But it's I'm not quite sure when she started. When did you start? Well,
I
a little
have
bit. We
one.
got about 20 minutes.
I have
Go
one
ahead.
that I would love I have a chat that I would love to read by my co-host Baram on Friendly Differences. Yes, I just did a show plug. Boss says they have given women the false beliefs that in the short term are seen as empowerment, but in the long term makes women very unhappy. But I'm sorry, Kimberly, you may co-sign on this one, but Bob, I'm sorry, that sounds like something from 1492. I'm sorry. Anyway, but moving on, I'm
So
gonna read. I'm gonna read
you
my
know what,
some
Yeah,
solid. I got a
I
question.
can't
So
do a
you
rebuttal.
so oh, go ahead, Bob. Go ahead. Yeah, Bob. You right. You right.
So
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
go
well,
go ahead.
actually, to rebuttal, I'll ask you, Solid. What do you think I mean by that? What false beliefs do you think I'm meaning?
I think that from conversations that we've had in the past, I think that you're talking about that when women are not at home, when society or the media, like you always say, like to tell women, oh yeah, go out and work and do this and to do that, as opposed to wanting, as opposed to women wanting to stay home, and women wanting and needing to have that happiness from home, that if they are told to go out and work and do whatever, that they're really unhappy, that what they really want to do is be the little homemaker and sit at home and take care of the children and have all these babies, and basically when their man gets home, have the slippers ready. That is what I think you mean, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
I wish.
So, Bob, real quick, Bob, do you think that is so? You're saying that ultimately that's a way to keep households
Okay.
apart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, because I mean, that's a good point. Like, to make a woman more independent means that she doesn't need a man. Means what?
yeah,
Ultimately,
yeah.
I don't. We don't need the
That
family.
that's exactly it. And Solid's right. It's like the indoctrination of American women in particular. Because I actually made a
I ain't in
comment on
that. I
this.
ain't in that part. I want to make it known. I'm not in that part. What he said right there,
So
I'm not in
so
that part.
Oh,
no, but
Bob,
like
Bob,
like
Bob,
see
Bob,
how
Bob. We gonna have to
well,
sit down and
let
have a
me
little chat.
finish.
Go ahead. No, go. I'm
What I'm
sorry.
saying is like how
Go ahead,
American
big
women
dog.
are kind of programmed like you don't need a man, you don't need to have kids, you should have a career and all that. And there are polls out there going around, and I don't even need to say polls. You ask your great grannies or even great grannies, if you've still got them around, if they were happier in their young life with their partner, their husbands, and how they all you don't hear 50, 60 year anniversaries anymore. And now what you have is people jumping from bed to bed, dating apps, having different kids to different men.
They're being dirty
Like,
little dirty
no,
people.
I'm not hating on women, Caps. I'm not doing that. But
I'm
I'm
just
saying
hating
it's like
on men and
Wait,
women.
wait, wait,
They've
wait.
got no
Caps,
self
caps,
respect.
caps, caps.
so what they've done is, and to back up my statement was, they've filled women with this false beliefs, and it sounds good, like you don't need a man. Yeah, we don't need men. You don't need to get married. You don't need to have kids. You can have a career. Yeah, we can be the same as men. And it's all, yeah, empowerment. It sounds great, but then when you poll women in their late 30s, 40s, you'll find a lot of them are, in these polls, they're all really upset with life. They haven't made the right thing. They regret not having kids. They regret not spending more time with their kids. Like, that's what I mean. It's a huge problem.
Whew, whew, man. So that's another show. Really, to be honest, like the women empowerment thing and this dynamic. That's a whole nother show in itself. I really, to be honest, feel like something we probably need to explore. But that right there, Man, that bro, that's a slippery slope. Because I think it's cool to. And sometimes I do think it's cool to be a woman, but I feel like at times, it's also cool to take advantage of that as well. But men do it too to some degree, and I don't want to get into what I mean by that. Maybe we'll wait. We'll save it for another show though. But go ahead. I'm sorry, the solid. Go ahead.
No, I'm just looking at some of the comments.
I
Most
don't
of
know if you
them
want to
are
respond to
people
Bob, but if
just
not,
no,
Kim,
no. I mean, no. I
or
mean,
is it
do have
it's
a
Kim?
response, but
Yeah, it's Kim.
I wanted to kind of move it on. So, Kim.
I mean, I really just want to say this. Well, I do want to speak to Alpha Mike and the kids, and I will say this as a woman who has grown children who grew up in toxicity. Because baby, I wasn't always healed. Okay, I didn't always have the knowledge that I have for myself, not for y'all, but for me. I didn't always have this. I wasn't always peaceful. I wasn't always, healed and whole. I came from utter toxicity. I mean, from childhood, and then I chose toxicity in my adult life, and I moved away from that, and I witness the toxicity in my children now. And when you're in it and you're thinking, I hid the abuse, I hid the terror, I hid the things that were happening to me in the dark. I was capable of doing that. And that was, I thought, enough. But now that my children are in their 20s and I am watching their toxic behavior, I just am so grateful that I'm able to be on these type of platforms to have conversations and hear different aspects of people, because I can't give them everything they need. But my whole intention on healing my wounds was specifically for my seeds. And everybody was like, it needs to be for you. It needs to be for you. But most of us aren't at a place that we're willing to do shit for ourselves. So I had to utilize the fact that I love my children way more than I love myself. And I needed to be there for them as they are now working through and healing. Now I have to be that healing wisdom that comes in to support what I contributed to. So I'm not saying leave or go, but I'm saying if anyone's in a relationship that is toxic, and just for the record, because of Crucible especially, let's just take out the word toxic. If you're in a relationship that you are being abused or mistreated or mishandled, then you need to absolutely 100% get to someplace safe if you are not. The second thing I will say is that if you continue to choose people that have bad behaviors, that are destructive and abusive, you need to sit your ass out of the next round of dating and hold yourself accountable for your own behavior. Find the wounds and the trauma and the pain that got you to the place that you chose them in the beginning, and then heal them, and then prepare yourself for your next relationship. I'm out.
Oh man, that's right there is one thing that I can personally speak to, because I often meet a lot of women that tell me how men are trash in this world. And then my next question is always is that, oh man, really? So you so man, what about, so you don't think that's a symptom of something? No, I just men are trash, and so I mean, so and I'll ask, are you perfect? No, I'm not perfect, but I just feel like, men these days are just trash. I'm like, so that doesn't that say something? If you feel like you're 30 something years old, you not met not one good man in the world, you don't think that's nothing wrong with you that you may need to be exploring? And it's often, nah, no, I'm good. I make money. I'm loyal. I'm gifted. I'm honest. Yeah. So ah, I'm great. So that's a good point, Kim. Awesome, awesome, awesome job to everybody. We're moving on. Who is it next? It's Crucible. Crucible's next.
Yeah, Kimberly makes some excellent points, and I think Solid said it earlier, and I might have mentioned it. I think you have to be clear first and foremost on how you're defining toxic, and make sure it truly is toxic in this true sense of the word, and you're not just disagreeing with somebody. But if you do identify toxic behavior, it's just my opinion that as Kimberly said, you need to get as far away as possible because I don't believe toxic behavior is fixable. I know everybody, has room for improvement and everybody can get better at things and blah, blah, blah. But I believe there's something at the core of a person who demonstrates toxic behavior on a regular basis to people he or she purportedly loves. I don't think that's fixable because I think there's something deeply broken with people who behave that way. Like I said, particularly around people they are supposed to love. I don't think it's fixable. I think people need to identify it as quickly as possible and make no apologies for saying this is only going to get worse. I know it's not easy to do. I've been in relationships that weren't toxic, but I knew I should have gotten out of, and I just couldn't pull the trigger. So I get that it's hard, but you have to identify in your partner what things are fixable and what things aren't. And I don't think toxic behavior is fixable.
So what you said? We not Jesus. We not Jesus, and we ain't got to stick in there amongst the sinners and wait till they correct,
Well,
or
it's
be a
about,
beacon of hope, beacon
yeah.
of light
Well, at some
of some
point, it's
sorts.
about self-preservation. Will, you've got to take, it's the old charity begins at home. You're no good
But
to
if you love
anybody
them though,
else.
you love them though, right?
Right, right. But you have to define, do you understand what love is? If you're in love with a toxic person, then to reevaluate not just toxic, but the word love. So I guess I think it's about self-preservation. You're no good to anybody else if you're battling a toxic person on a daily basis. I don't think it gets better.
Yeah, and I'm a big
People
proponent.
don't
People,
like.
yeah, Caps. Yeah, one second. I'm sorry. I'm coming right to you because I don't know. Well, you're at the Ziller, but people don't. What people, I should say, they do a lot is Caps, fucking Caps. Go ahead, Ziller. Go ahead, Ziller. I'll come back to me, and then Caps.
Well, I don't have any words besides this is fuck
Roger
that.
that. Right. All right, big dog. It's up. You up next, Cap.
No, I'm going anyway. But listen, people don't like the movements upon movements. That's the problem. It's like you're in a relationship. How have you built that relationship? By getting on with each other. But in the end, what happens? You have a child, and then you realise that it's hard. And then what do you do? You know, what do you do? You run away like a motherfucker. You just run. Yeah, no, you stay there. And like me, I'm not gonna lie, like there's been times, man, where I fucking felt like I wanted to run. You know, it's hard, but we do what we do. Like I look at my children now, and like my eldest is 14, and like if I did that, like there's been times, but what do we do? You know, you're toxic. People stereotype everything, man, make it something really bad when it's not. That's the way I always see everything. They always amplify on everything, and you shouldn't. I think everyone's situation is flipping completely different, and as bad as some people make out, but sometimes it is as bad, and it's hard to differentiate that. So yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
anyway,
I think
I'm gonna go. Go on,
big
go
dog.
on. No,
Appreciate you.
please chill.
Appreciate
Sorry, go on. No, enough love, but go on.
you.
Tell me
Yeah.
something. Come on.
So in general, like what I do think is that we tend to like just because you love a person, don't necessarily mean you have to be in a relationship with them. I can
Yeah,
love
I
you to the
agree.
end
I
of the
know,
depths
no,
of earth,
I'm, yes, I
and
fully
so and
agree with
so
you, man.
and so that's when I think it's good to leave if it's like you said, if it's affecting you
No, but how can you
emotionally, health
leave when
wise.
you lack them of money and movement and love? How can you do
Well,
that, man?
well, so how can you stay and you're killing yourself?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so
It's hard,
it,
man.
it's going to be hard regardless. So you need to at least hope be if it's going to be hard, at least be hard in the right direction. I'd rather be if I sit on the couch don't do shit, I'm gonna die. But if I go to the gym, I feel like I'm gonna die. What?
Yeah.
So, but one is probably taking a hurtful step toward the proper direction of your sanity, of your, so what I mean. So that's we have to reflect, and it's hard because you got to have the courage to leave a situation like that,
Yeah.
especially when you love a person or you used to a person. Like you said, when you ain't got money, that's nothing but
But
just like, hey, you
can
just
I
used
say
to it,
one
right?
thing, Joe? And I fully
Mm,
agree with you. I am used to it, but you know what I'm used to? I'm not used to the movement like as they've grown so quick with my children and whatnot. But what
gotcha,
gets me is
gotcha.
that like with time and everything, and with like as we've got older, I've looked at society as well, and I've looked at myself, and I've looked at everything, and like I just want to make sure they're all right, and no matter what's in front of me, I just want to make
I
sure my
understand.
children
I
are okay
understand. Yeah, yeah, I got
because
you. I got you, big
I
dog.
had a bad childhood, and like some people would have had a bad childhood. Like, well, not a bad one, but we if you said something wrong, you get smacked up for it, man.
Got you.
You had no RSPCA. I mean, child
Which
load.
is hence toxicity. Yeah. So you know what it's like, and you know how to hopefully combat it. So I
Yeah.
want to before we end, I want to get to crazy lady real quick, Caps.
Sorry,
But I
thank
appreciate
you
you,
for
big dog.
listening to me. I love you all,
Man,
man.
yeah,
Thank you, thank you.
you know I got love, bro, too. So crazy lady, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I was gonna say was, I agree to, first of all, but sometimes toxic behavior can be changed. And I say that because the one time I left my husband Ross, um, it was because of his toxic behavior. He was mad at someone else and I'd get the brunt of it. And um when I left him and stuff, he asked why and all that, and I told him, and then he asked for a chance, and he changed that toxic behavior because he loved me. So I mean, like sometimes it can happen, you know, and other times it doesn't change. As in, case example, my first husband. Um, but yeah, you have to.
Yeah, I got you, crazy lady. I'm a big proponent. It's a thin line where you ask somebody to change their behavior or you accept a certain behavior. First of all, you got to identify if this behavior is toxic or is it wrong. And the way I do that, I always ask another person, how would you feel if I did that to you? Do we both agree what you're doing or whatever? It could be me too. If this is not a good thing. Now we both agree on that, and you say it's a problem, then I probably would request for either. Like I just need you to know that at least that's there. So it's up to me to stay or go. If you say you're not gonna change it, then that's fine. At least we identify when it happens. It's not a good thing.
And
But it's
what
always
would
a
I
thing.
offend? You know,
That's it. Yeah. Like, because what do you? I mean, so you got to be able to accept it or ask them to change it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
And
Or when
even
it's
if
you got to yeah.
and I wouldn't have given him another chance.
And so that's the kind of that's where counseling comes in and things of that nature because that is something like I it's not like they're I don't know even dogs can change their behavior to some degree if they feel like there's a penalty behind it or some type of penalty. I'm not saying that it's gonna hurt me or just if you take something away. If I love you and you're gone, man, I got to change something. And so that's a thing, that's why I think toxic behavior definitely can be changed. You expect something. Here's the things. A lot of or Rob and Blunt Ninja mentioned that a lot of people don't even know they're being toxic. They're themselves of their baggage of whatever they've been through. They don't even realize what they're doing is being toxic. And I've often been around people or relationships that I call people out on shit. I'm cool if you call me out, but a lot of times I might date, a beautiful woman that a lot of guys just take shit from because they're beautiful. To be honest, I'm gonna be candid. Like, and so, but me, I don't give a fuck who. I don't give a damn who you are. I'm not taking nothing from nobody, and if it gets ridiculous, and I'm gonna point you out on it. And so that seems to be a thing for me. Because they could turn around and tell me about myself all day, and I'll tell them if they're right or wrong. But when it's my turn, when it's my turn, it comes to problems sometimes. So well, I gotta learn how to be like a little less harsh with it. But overall, yeah, I agree. It's hard. That's hard. You just gotta. I think it can be changed though. If two people want it enough, that's another thing. They gotta want it enough. They gotta identify it, want it, and change it. But I know we're close to being up against it. I want to appreciate and understand that everybody in here is my friend. I love all y'all. I want y'all to be here every single day, talking with us, chatting it up with us, gaining understanding, and showing love. It's good to see y'all smiles and faces, hear them too. I think Solid hates when I say that, but it's true. I can see. I feel like when y'all talking, even in the chat, I can see it. uh, I've lost the chat, so I'm not even gonna play like I know where to start at. But if Solid, you want to go through some of it and closing statements, you can. But nice show, y'all. Thank you for engaging.
I want to jump down some, guys. Alpha Mike says it's a mental barrier when you have to ask yourself what happened to that person to make them that way. See, Cap says, yeah, I agree. Real hate. Cap says, I hate no one. Filthy Breakfast says, this is not a comedy show. Uh, Just Rob says, they know they are toxic and don't want to change. Bye, Shy Lady. You have a good evening, too. Let's see. Alpha Mike says, I always want, you can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. Thank you, everybody, for liking the show. And yeah, Tuttles is always another show for another day. We've had a lot of those lately. Alpha Mike says, my aunt has been living with a guy for a few decades. He doesn't work at all. Meanwhile, my aunt busts her ass day after day while this guy enjoys going to the spa. Can't say anything to her about it because she doesn't want to hear it. I hate that dude, but that's her choice. Okay. Let's see.
Mike, just real quick, Mike, man, you got to if she love it, you gotta love it too, bro. I mean, hey, look, that may be never know. That's to be the hard part. You don't know what's going on inside of that relationship, or why make it work. But bro, if it's anything work for her, she happy, bro. Man, you
That
might as
is
well let it
true.
go.
I want to thank Ruthless for your pod being. Thank you. Let's see. Kim, you're getting some love here. Brina Chill says, Chill will amazing show. Thank you. Great
Thank you.
show always. Thank you, Ruthless, for coming. Thank you, Caps. Thank you. Caps
Yeah. Oh,
Caps
I got
Yeah,
always gives
ruthless
me
caps. Yep.
he always gives me
F1.
a compliment after I tell him to behave. So Caps, not a problem. And Alpha Mike says, nah, dude, try telling me how to be a man. Just yeah, I work more jobs than he has in both our lives combined. And that's it. And everyone, again, Chill, thank you for hosting the show. As you guys know, I do invite people from time to time to host a show. They can choose their own topics. So, Chill, thank you very much. This was a very good show. Kim, I'm going to be at your show, girl. You know I am. Bye.
Can I real quick? Can I real quick? Rob says, "Where were y'all 15 years ago when I needed to hear this, brother? 15 years ago can be just as well as now, bro. So
Yeah.
don't let it skew you. Don't let it don't let your heart harden up too much. It's
Yeah.
just available to open back up, bro. It's never too late, big dog.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, and guys, Ba and I are going to be doing Friendly Differences on Saturday, 12 noon Pacific time, and Tuttles is going to be our guest. So thank you everybody who came on the panel. Caps, Crucible, Only Crazy Lady, Kimberly Michael, Ba. Who am I missing? Oh, Mr. B. Mr. B was here, and
Yeah,
Ziller.
Mr. B.
Yeah,
Zilla.
so tomorrow, guys, as I said, it's supposed to be a fun show tomorrow. Hair or no hair. Does it make a difference? And you all can take that however you want. But I'm looking forward to a very entertaining
Tuttles.
show
Brat.
tomorrow. So I'm sorry, Will, what did you say?
Oh, I was just saying, what up, Tuttles? In the back, trying to be the background. I said, what up, Tuttles? Brat. He said, great
And JD
topic.
House says, oh boy. Well, I still go back and listen to the orgasm show. I guess that's what I'm calling it. And it
Oh
just
yeah, it was.
that show, I mean, I listened to that show and it just still just cracks
Oh,
me
is
up.
that the one with oh girl?
Kristen, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Because She was about to go there with you, wasn't she?
No, she went there. She went there in great detail. She went there. But
No, I'm
that
just saying. Remember, in general, she thought she was on another show.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We like, what are you talking about? No, nobody said none of that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but once we got her on the right track, boy, was she a treat.
She stayed on that track and that train just kept going.
Uh,
So y'all, but anyway, thank you again for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world. And on that note, go where the wind takes you. Bye. And thank you to anyone who is over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the Human Scorch, thank you for coming in, but we are wrapping up now. And Jester, we got to get together when you're going to come back. Grid, thank you. Daddy Hall, Rena, Ninja Bunny, Power Girl, Frankie, Crazy Lady, Dina Joe, everyone who is in the chat, thank you. Alpha Mike.
See y'all later.
Shadows. See you later, Chill. Thank you again. And you are welcome anytime.
I got you. Thank you. And thank you for allowing me.
Yep.
We want to thank Solid Blue too. Awesome show today.
All right,
Y'all contribute my baby mama fund, by the way. It's on Kiss Cash.
Y'all
Bye-bye.
go home. Bye. Oh.